How do you know if you're seeing a bad therapist? Client to client, I'm going to share with you 5 red flags to let you know that maybe it's time to find a new therapist. My name is Caylyn and I am not a therapist. Make sure you subscribe to my channel so that I can keep making videos like this to share with you. As someone who's seen quite a few different mental health professionals, I've come up with a list of my 5 biggest red flags that I think need to be watched out for. So you'll either be able to know if the therapist you have is not a match, or if you've been seeing a therapist for a while and maybe aren't feeling it anymore, these are good indicators that it might be time to find a new therapist. Number 1, you don't feel heard. If you're walking into therapy and you don't feel that what you're saying is being heard or acknowledged by your therapist, that's not a good sign. If you also feel your therapist is kind of telling you how it is or how you feel or what something actually is, this is also a red flag because in that way they're not acknowledging your feelings. You're in therapy to help you deal with your feelings, so that's what's important. The second thing worth watching out for when it comes to therapists is making sure that there are boundaries. All therapists should be setting boundaries right at the beginning of seeing a new client. Especially if you've never been to therapy before, it can be really comforting to, kind of know what the relationship is going to be like. If a therapist ever says anything inappropriate to you, time to go. They're not worth it. However, keep in mind that at times, therapists are going to say things that are uncomfortable to you. But these are things that should be more about helping you look in the mirror or take a look at yourself. It's normal to sometimes have therapy sessions where you feel uncomfortable or maybe not so happy about something that was said, but it should never, ever be anything inappropriate that makes you feel like you want to run away from that office or that situation. Also, if a therapist talks a lot about themselves or it seems to be more often that the conversation goes towards their own experiences, that's a sign that they're not very good with setting some boundaries. And that's another sign to head out. Red flag number 3. If after 3 to 4 sessions, you're still not really feeling a connection. I think connection with a therapist is really important because we're going to therapy for ourselves. It's really important for us to be able to open up and to feel comfortable. Now, for some of us, it can take months to share our feelings and our fears with somebody who's technically a stranger. And if you know that about yourself, I think that's a good sign to maybe try sticking it out a little longer. But if the therapist isn't putting in an effort into making you comfortable or picking up that you might not be comfortable talking about certain things right away and you're struggling to form a connection with this person, it might be that they're just not a good match for you. Red flag number 4, a therapist that enables you. It's not the funnest thing to be called on our stuff. It's not the funnest thing to be called out or, it's not fun to talk about something that we're ashamed of. But if we have a therapist that enables us and tells us that we're always right, or the other person in the situation was at fault, or we were justified in our actions, then we're not working with somebody who's going to support us to meet our goals or to grow as a person or to be able to have self-awareness. That is not what therapy is supposed to be. So if you find yourself with a therapist that is always on your side or hardly ever even offers like a devil advocate perspective to something that you're asking, I would go somewhere else. Red flag number 5. If there is directionlessness, no direction, if there's no direction. Some of us work well with that. We need to walk into a session and word vomit everywhere how our week has been. However, overall, there should be some goals that you're working towards. There is a type of therapy called psychodynamic therapy that is a little bit more directionless, where It's more about what needs to be talked about that day, and things are explored through what comes up. However, there should always be some general goals that you're working towards. We go to see therapists to help us work towards getting better at something or growing. So if you're constantly feeling lost in therapy, or like your goals aren't being met or acknowledged, or you're always walking into therapy not sure if you're gonna walk out with anything of value, then it's probably worthwhile going to see another therapist. And a bonus tip, read reviews online. A lot of platforms out there will have reviews, whether it's for different online therapy services like Talkspace or BetterHelp, or sometimes there are reviews on different types of resources and stuff like that. Doing your research on a therapist ahead of time can help you make a decision that's right for you. Even if a therapist has totally positive reviews, but you're realizing that their therapy style might not work for you, that can be really informative. Please keep in mind that all of these tips are my own perspective from my own experience. These are not, word for word to be followed to decide if a therapist is good or bad. At the end of the day, there are good and there are bad therapists, but there are also therapists that are just good for you, a right match for you. Leave me a comment down below if there's something that you're curious or not sure about, and I'll see what I can do to help you out. If you enjoy this video, I have other videos coming up that are going to tackle some of the topics we talked about today more in depth, and you can sign up for my Not a Therapist newsletter where I talk about different types of therapy, different wellness things, and stuff like that. So link down below in the description. Thank you so much for watching. Please subscribe. It means a lot to me. Share with a friend, like, comment, and I will see you next time. Cheers.